you have to have volunteers. And whoever, I'm certain, I hope, that if there's no volunteer for that particular time period, you're gonna pick those up. And there will not be any recycling.
Yeah, that's the only reason they put it at the food court, so that it'd just be one spot. Hopefully people would just be bringing their recycling there after they eat.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, 'cause we do have quite a bit to get through today, for board updates. Ben, oh yeah, Ben, you're always closest to me, so we'll start out with Ben.
So transit, Q line extension to the museums is running this summer. It started on May 24th. Exploration Place is open late on Fridays and Thursdays. Thursdays, and Art Museum's open late on Fridays. That's it.
Yeah.
And so those are two options available on the extended queue that goes from the VA all the way west now to Cowtown and Art Museum. So take advantage of that. The other thing is that for some reason, ridership, like general ridership, has gone down.
On the queue or all of it?
Just all of it. The regular routes have gone down, and so the staff is like investigating why that is. Not sure. So more to come on that.
Because of the smoking.
Maybe.
Thanks, Ben.
Certainly not.
And Jessica, moving on, I'm not sure if you have an update from your board. If not, no worries.
I do. So we
can't hear you. Wonderful.
You can't hear me.
I can hear you, Jessica. Do a mic check, maybe.
She can throw it back.
So people online can hear me, but
Yes.
the room cannot hear me.
Sorry, Jessica, we're still trying to fix our audio output.
Gotcha.
Yeah, chat update is also fine. While we try to fix that.
Can you try talking again, Jessica?
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh,
Okay.
yay.
Okay,
Hi.
we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, super. So two things were mainly talked about. That strategic plan that we were working on, the part of the strategic plan, the internal survey to employees for their perceptions about the current, structure there. It's finished, it's done. Some of the members of the board recorded a video. But now, since it's more than just advising the mayor and the council, now that it is, impacting employees, it's into the legal department. The city manager wants to see it through there, so it's ready to go. Just waiting on that. But majority of the time was spent talking about Mary Dean's reparations and what the council, if we were going to take a vote to support it or not support it. She's done all of the revisions, recommendations, that she has been asked to do multiple times. The final recommendations, some didn't support it as it was written. Some said, she's done everything she can, send it through. So the final recommendation, the motion passed 5-2 with 2 abstentions, was to send the ordinance to council without a recommendation endorsing or opposing, but should consider the ordinance. So
Poor Mary.
Okay.
that's all I have.
Okay. Thank
And
you
then
guys.
I'm going to send in the chat a link to our strategic plan.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. All right. Chair updates, Ibrahim.
Yes, I will leverage this time to highlight our proposal for the gray water treatment and reuse. So 2 months ago, I did present to you guys a proposal about the gray water treatment and reuse for the decentralized concept. And it looks like also the city, based on the updates from ESN, they're taking the same approach for wastewater treatment, which is really, really neat to cut the potable water consumption for non-potable water applications. But I'm trying to make it in a simple way, in a decentralized concept. So if we do that, this will minimize the load for big plants like this, and in the meantime, make decentralized treatment. So I did share the presentation with you before during February or January, and maybe Liz also did share with you the soft copy of the proposal. So during my time of the presentation, I got some feedback about some regulations, how to make it and stuff like that. And also you got a chance also to review the soft copy. So I believe to keep the momentum moving forward, I would like to take the next step for this proposal. And I did propose like 3 steps. Like step number 1 is sharing this proposal with the city officials particularly the public works, so they can take a look on that. We missed some information about it. So the main question, does this proposal fit the city goals or not? So we need to answer that. If they are happy with that, we can move on to different items like the feasibility of the project, also do we need any permits, regulations, all this stuff, partnership with the city. So we need all this information. And the proposal, as I mentioned, like high level. So I didn't dig into numbers about cost number or technical numbers, just idea. It sounds good, we can move forward. So after the step one, after sharing the proposal with the city officials, if we get like a positive response, so the next step from my perspective to establish a techno-economic analysis study. And the reason behind that, to get like a cost numbers and technical numbers, mainly about the cost for running the plant and also the capex to implement it and design it, and also to make a long-term assessment for environmental and economic aspects. So we need to answer that from the techno-economic analysis study. And this is something I can do it, and we can do it together. And if the numbers coming out from the techno-economic analysis study sounds positive, we all happy, we circulate this back to the city. So now they have numbers, so we can make decision on the budget and also site selection, and we're moving forward. And to verify the numbers, step number 3, to have small pilot plant just for demonstration and also for public demonstration, so we can get engagement with the community, and also can see any academic institutions here with the students to run it and also build experience. So these are the 3 steps I have, like reaching out to the city officials, building techno-economic analysis, number 3, pilot plant. You know, if the city say, oh, this doesn't fit our city goals, we save time and we can look to different perspective, or we can keep this on a side. And I will need your help, Liz and Ethan, to convey that to the city officials, getting feedback, keep us posted. So this is what I'm proposing, you know. Sounds good or something weird?
I mean, I liked it. I think that's a good path forward.
Okay.
It's actionable. It's, it feels like something,
Yeah, and which encouraged me now, what shared by Ethan, sorry, about this wastewater treatment plant. They are using RO, and RO might be good, but if you are using sour water with RO, big flag, especially with the fouling and the scaling the membranes. So the RO membranes, the main killer for this membranes is microorganisms, the bacteria and all this stuff, and this loaded with the sour water. But at least we're moving for this direction for now. So this might sound good. So okay, so as an action item from me, you have the proposal. Feel free to share with the city officials, especially the public works, and maybe hopefully by next meeting we can have feedback from you and Ethan, and we can move forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can
we'll,
do that.
we'll talk to our supervisor.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
We're in public works.
Yeah. We, yeah.
Oh, you go for it.
Some of that. Okay. Okay. So this is my main update. So yeah, and as a plan B, let's say like they say, oh, this doesn't help us. So right now the temperature is good. We don't have extensive evaporation from the Sheni reservoir. So as a second proposal I did share with you before is using the this transparent solar panels. So we can make coverage for the Sheni reservoir for a particular area, and we can see a site to do that. So we can co-produce electricity, and in the meantime, minimize the evaporation coming out from the water surfaces. Yeah. Is this 1 month? It should be good. Liz and Jason, from your experience, feedback.
I can email you guys just to see kind of where that's at. I don't know how long we've
Okay.
been waiting on a few things from upper management too sometimes, so it
Okay.
depends. Right now, they're in the middle of budget stuff, so
Sure,
it might
sure.
take a little bit longer, but
Okay.
we can definitely get back to you guys.
Okay, so now this is not on our table, this is on your table.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So the next item is minutes. So Liz last week shared with us the meeting minutes. If anyone has any comments, corrections, or need to add something, this is the right time now to jump in.
I don't remember seeing anything that,
Yeah, nothing
Same.
struck out. Ben Blankley, I move to approve the March minutes.
Okay, thanks.
okay, I'll second.
Thank you. So for those in favor of approving the meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Anyone opposite to that or against this approval? Once, twice, 3 times. So I'm going to approve the meeting minutes for March.
Also, Thank you, guys. Okay, so for our first discussion item, we do have a SIP overview. This is something I did not do last year when a few of you guys started. So I knew there's been kind of a few of you guys have not known about the history of SIB or kind of what it's supposed to be. So I thought this would be a good way to kind of start this new term for SIB. So we're going to be kind of giving you guys an overview. Then we'll go into some potential projects, and then we'll go into some potential changes for SIB ordinance because there's a reason you guys are kind of off on different years, but I'll get to that in a second.
Sounds like it might be good news, though.
That you guys are off or?
No, that you're gonna talk about that, because that's a concern.
Oh,
Is having
okay.
everybody come up do it at the same time.
Awesome. Well, yes, it's a big concern for me because administratively everyone has to take care of it. But starting off with SIB creation. So SIB was established in 2021. So this was through the work of some volunteers who used to be on the board. Lori, I'm not sure if you're a part of that group or not.
I was.
So they kind of petitioned city council to try and get SIB created, and they succeeded in 2021. I don't remember. I think the first board meeting actually didn't happen until the beginning of 2022, if I recall.
December 2021 was the
Okay.
first meeting, I think.
Yeah, so it's still a fairly new board. It's created in response to community concerns about environmental issues and climate change. And over 20 people spoke at city council meetings in support of the formation of the board. So this was a thing that was happening over a few months, and people were constantly going. And so city council agreed to create the board. And so SIB membership currently has 7 city council / mayor seats, and then has 7 seats from other boards. So when we do board updates, I'm calling on people who are appointed from these other boards. So they do have to get approval not only from council to be on their other boards, and then their boards appoint them to be on SIB as well. That's the difference between SIB and some other boards. We're the only one that pulls from other boards as well. So Ben, I called on him earlier. He's in the Transit Advisory Board. And then Jessica is from the Diversity Inclusion Civil Rights Board. We do have someone from Park currently who's just not here today, but they're reappointed as well. Mayor's Youth Council Elizabeth is here. By PED Board, Russell told me he wasn't going to be here today. And we're still looking for someone from the Stormwater Advisory Board. And Cindy is waiting to be reappointed by the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. And this is all available online if you guys ever want to look at what seats are vacant or available. For the appointment process, so members are appointed by city council members or through a vote for through their board. In order to be appointed, you do have to have an application within. So whether you're appointed before, you just have to submit an application, or if you want to fill one of those spots and don't want to, you could contact your council member directly. But either way, once you submit an application, whichever position you might be eligible for, we'll submit that to the city council person. And then you do have to take an oath of office. So there is a limit of 4 consecutive 2-year terms, which means a total of 8 years. And then so members must be a resident of the city of Wichita, not employed by city of Wichita, or not a direct or immediate family member of an employee of city of Wichita. So Ethan and I cannot be on the board. We are serving as just staff for the board. And must be a citizen of the US. So the purpose of SIB is to advise the city council and city staff on sustainability matters affecting the city's long-term viability and economic vitality. To enhance the city's environmental goals, including waste management, energy use, climate resiliency, community outreach, affordability of and access to services. So one of the big things is to bring actionable projects and policies to council for recommendation. So you guys are supposed to work kind of as a voice for people for the city of Wichita, for the people of the city of Wichita to advise council. And so duties, so this is actually pulled directly from the ordinance. So if you're ever kind of wondering why SIB was created, what the reason was, we have a total of, I believe, 9 things from ordinance that we can look to. So act in interest of sustainable practices, make advisory policy, advise the city council, recommend to city council, request that city council authorize studies on different things pertaining to environmental quality and natural resources, establish educational programs, support environmental programs, identify and pursue local, regional, state, and national programs for grants, and support City of Wichita Comprehensive Plan and any other adopted long-range plans of the cities. So if you're ever kind of stuck, if you're at a place where, hey, where do we go from here? What can we do as a board? This might be a great place to look at to kind of find inspiration for maybe where you want to move to next as a board. I know this year you guys established that you would like to focus on drought and waste as well. So you can see how you can tie those into some of these duties from ordinance. One of the big things that we've been working on for the past kind of almost year now is a community resiliency plan. So Ethan kind of touched on that. a little bit when he pointed out to the sustainability page where it's available. So if you want to see the newest iteration, but I will let Ethan kind of take this slide over.
Oh, yeah. So one of the main goals of SIB was creating this kind of guiding document. A lot of other boards have these advisory plans that they create. Bicycle pedestrian master plan is a good example. And this work actually began back in 2022 with the board's creation when the Wichita State University did a sustainability initiative study. We looked to that study along with some other data and putting together that first draft that we did back towards the end of 2023 into 2024. And later in 2024, a public draft was shared with the district advisory boards. Went around for feedback, opened up a community survey, got over 300 responses to that. So this is a big talking point, something we should continue to focus on as we move forward. I hope all members are familiar and comfortable with it. You should know what's in it. And if you have things that you still like, if you look at that new draft and you see things you like, you don't like, please send questions, suggestions to me. Because you guys are kind of the voice for the community on this, our first voice that we go to. And hopefully everyone has a good understanding of what's in that, kind of where it's heading. And if we get to move forward with some grant funding, we'll be moving forward with some more public engagement on this front, kind of working over a 1 to 2 year period to continue that process.
And for our newer or newest members, if you have not taken a look at that on the sustainability page, I definitely recommend it. It's just one of the things that we're going to be referencing quite a bit, and we reference from time to time, so it might just be a good idea to kind of take a look at it.
Agree. Oh, yeah, this is that website I talked about earlier. Put a lot of information there, so just want people to use it.
Yeah, it has a lot of good background information on SIB and what you guys have done, and just sustainability things going on in the city as well. And Ethan has put a lot of effort into it, so it's a really great place for
And
resources and updates.
If you've got suggestions for things that you'd like to see on it, happy to take those into account. I try to, at least as much time as I've got for it, put it into that. So gonna be adding some heat related resources here soon. We're coming up on a very hot part of the year, so
It's the right time right now.
good time to share that stuff.
All right. Okay. So continuing on to meeting and bylaws. So according to the bylaws, the board shall meet at least once quarterly. As of right now, we do meet monthly. This is up to you guys to change or to decide on if you would like to meet less or more often. The only requirement is that you do meet quarterly. So just an FYI, right now we do meet on the fourth Wednesday of every month at 6:15, either on Zoom or here in this library space. If anything changes of that, I will alert you ahead of time. And as of right now, I do believe we've canceled the November and December meetings for this year, just for the holidays, because we do get lower attendance on those. But otherwise, the plan is to still just meet the fourth Wednesday of every month. If any member has an issue with this, or wants to maybe look at changing something, that's definitely a conversation that you guys can bring up in discussion, bring it up with the chair and myself so I can add it to the agenda. The board shall elect the chairperson and vice chairperson each year before July 1st. So our current chair is Ibrahim and our vice chair is Russell Fox, who did let me know who was going to be here today. But this is one of those things that's kind of up for interpretation. So it just says each year before July 1st. It doesn't say if it's each year of the term. So my understanding is if it's a new term, you guys can elect a new chairperson. I will put it on the agenda probably around for the next meeting, just so you guys can, take a look at that, see what you'd like to do. This is also kind of the problem with the ordinance that I will get to later, where we're on off years. So we keep getting new people kind of every year. So I will talk about that later. Recommendations of the board shall be approved by majority vote. Quorum is required to conduct business. So if we ever get here to a meeting and we don't meet quorum, you guys are still more than welcome to meet, but you cannot make any motions to approve minutes, and I do not write up minutes for the meeting. So if there's not enough people to actually consider it a meeting, none of the other minutes or recordings go into effect. Meetings shall be subject and applicable to provisions of the Kansas Open Meetings Act and the Kansas Open Records Act. So you guys did have to do a training beforehand. I know for some of you guys, it might have been a while since you did the training, so I'll give you a refresher. Basically, a meeting is a gathering or assembly, and it does mean that you have to meet quorum, which is why if you ever choose to meet outside of kind of this area, if you guys have a kind of a committee meeting, you cannot have more than one more of half the active members. So right now we're at 10. So if you have more than 5 people, it's considered a meeting, and so you're subject to COMA and quorum rules. So I just suggest don't meet in large groups.
Mhm.
And then serial communications,
Nobody's
this
been
is one that has been an
proactive,
issue
Darn it.
in the past. Do not reply all. When I send you guys something for just an email, just agenda, if you have a question for me, feel free to reply to myself. Do not reply all, because that can be considered a meeting just because you're addressing everybody. So just be careful of that. That's kind of the only one that's been a little bit tricky in the past. And then what is the majority of the membership? So the next whole number greater than 1/2 of the total number of members. And then what is considered discussion? Binding action or voting is not necessary. So even if you guys are just talking about SIB related things, it's still considered discussion whether or not you vote on something. Meetings include all gatherings at all stages of the decision making process, social gatherings, retreats, meetings held in private, educational conference, and seminar. So just be aware if you guys are all going to be in the same place at once. Just try not to gather and violate coma or quorum. Obviously, I'm not watching you wherever you guys are, so just be cognizant of that. So board officers. So just wanted to touch on what a chair is and what a vice chair is. So chair is responsible for setting meeting agendas and facilitating meetings. So in the way Ibrahim has, he kind of calls the next item, does the vote for minutes or any other votes we have. And I go to him to approve the agendas. And then vice chair just kind of fills in for the chair duties. So if you guys are interested in that, or if Ibrahim wants to continue doing that, we will have that discussion next month as well. And then continuation on meetings and bylaws. The way our agendas are set up every month is the call to order, the announcements, which are staff and board updates. So Ethan and I will go through any announcements we have. We'll go through the members from other boards to see if they have any announcements or updates from their boards. And then chair updates. So Ibrahim has a kind of set space on the agenda to be able to kind of talk about any sustainability issues he would like to bring up. And then during this time, we usually don't want to have too much back and forth discussion. This is just kind of we're going to go through this really quickly, and then we'll get to our minutes and then discussion items. Discussion items is where we do allow for public comments as well. So members of the public will be able to join in on this part. And then we have public comments, which I will get to on the next slide. But members can suggest items to be added to the agenda by contacting Ibrahim or myself. So if you do have something that wants to be added, if you have something from your other board that you think requires some back and forth from this board, feel free to email me and Ibrahim, or I'm sure we'll be happy to fit into if it's not the next one, the one after that, because sometimes these agendas do get filled up kind of quickly. Talking about decorum. So during staff and board updates, like I mentioned, we want to kind of just get through them quickly and not take too much time up on them. Whereas with the discussion topic, we have board discussion, and then we do after that have a time for public comment, which is about 5 minutes per person, and only one comment once per topic. And then if there is a motion to be made, that is made after public comment. And then there can be a few discussion topics, but then at the end, public comment. So this allows for anyone to talk about any subject. When we are on the discussion topic, the person, if they have a public comment, it does have to be on the topic that's on hand. And then for public comment, they have 5 minutes to talk about kind of whatever they'd like. Public and comment questions can be noted or answered once the participant's time has ended. So we just like to make sure that, they get their 5 minutes to speak. Some other notes about decorum: only one person should be answering questions from the public comment during discussion items. So this is usually the chair, and the chair can delegate to staff or other board members to answer questions. So just making sure that we're, being respectful of the public's time, and that only one person's answering. There's not a lot of side conversations kind of going on. Public comment needs to be on the topic of discussion if on a discussion item. Members of the public can comment once per agenda item. Board members need to be recognized by the chair to speak. I will keep time on my phone, so just kind of making sure that everyone gets a chance to speak as well. Public comments during public comment section are limited to 5 minutes. And so attendance. Any member of the board or commission shall be removed from office by the city council after due notice and hearing for non-attendance of 3 consecutive meetings or absence for more than 50% of the meetings held during any 12-month period. So what this just means is I'll be keeping track of your guys' attendance. If you're not able to make it, you don't necessarily have to let me know. A heads up is nice. But if you are constantly missing meetings, we are able to remove you. If you do have kind of trouble and you're like, hey, maybe this is too much responsibility, I don't really have time for this, feel free to let me know. We can get your spot filled. It's a little bit easier to do it that way than if someone just stops showing up. And then vacancy shall be declared unless the board member requests a hearing before the city council within 10 days and after notice is provided. We haven't had to do this to anybody, but I did
Yeah.
just want to let you guys all know what the exact rules were. So I am the staff liaison. So I'm a senior environmental specialist in the Public Works Department. And Ethan is a sustainability coordinator. So he kind of comes to meetings every month and he helps out with all of the sustainability board stuff. I would like to let you guys know that probably starting in August, Ethan will be taking over the staff liaison position for me because I will be on maternity leave. So I'm due in October. Thank you. That's why I'm so out of breath right now.
Woohoo!
He'll probably take over for a few months, and then hopefully I will be back. But during that time, or anytime, if you guys just want to email Ethan and CC myself or whatever, that's totally fine. Whenever we get to that, we'll explain kind of what the changes will be. For now, if you just want to keep Ibrahim and myself in the loop to different emails, if you have any questions for staff, if there's anything, feel free to email myself and Ethan. And then staff provide information, support, and professional and technical assistance necessary to carry out the board's duties and conduct its meetings. This can mean maintain records, so like record this meeting, set up the Zoom meeting minutes, and handle administrative matters. Ethan and I are not board members. We cannot vote or make a motion, so we usually try to stay out of discussions as well unless we're specifically asked a question. All right, now that I blew through that, any questions on that section?
It doesn't, okay, so it isn't the case anymore, because, the holding company runs things at Century Two.
Mhm.
But technically, my wife was a city of Wichita employee as a stagehand, like the first couple months of my appointment here, but that's no longer the case. But like, is that considered?
Was she like a contractor or was she actually paid by the city
She
of
was,
Wichita?
she got a W-2 from the city of Wichita.
I don't know if that's because I don't know. If that situation comes up, let us know. I can ask the lawyers since it's
Right.
not the case right now.
Not
Not
the
gonna
case.
retroactively do anything about it. But
Right, yeah.
You're good now.
Yeah, I just saw that and I was like, oh.
yes. So if any of your immediate family does end up becoming a city employee, please let us know and then, we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Are all of our are we all reappointed already? Am I reappointed?
So
Oh,
this
since
is
I-
a weird one. I still need to take your oath of office. So the board reappointments are a little odd. So like Randy, I'm gonna use you as an example. You had to be reappointed by the council. Since you're from technically another board, your board just has to reappoint you.
Okay.
Or just say like, oh hey, yeah, we choose Elizabeth basically to do it again. And then you just have to take your oath of office. You don't have to go in front of council, or council doesn't have to say your name in the way that district appointees do.
We're in the middle of applications process, but
Yeah.
I did get reelected as mayor for the next year, so
Yeah.
can I just say that's okay?
Well, I'll send you an email about it, but I think I'll check the ones, this board is very odd and I've had to ask a lot of questions to lawyers, especially because of the way the board appointments work. So I'll get back with you on that,
Okay.
but I think it should be fine. Cause since you were only appointed a few months ago too, so
Yeah.
when you started officially on SIB. So it's odd, but I think it's fine. All right.
And
any
I
other
forgot
questions?
I forgot to mention I was reappointed by the DICRAB.
Yes, Jessica, thank you. I saw your email right as I was walking out the door, but I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I think you're updated on the board system now, so it should say active on your name.
Thank you.
All right.
So finally, I would like to thank you and Ethan for your time and your help and support for this sport. Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for being a volunteer group who wants to make issues of sustainability better in the cities. All right. I caught my breath a little bit. So the next discussion item we wanted to talk to you guys about were potential projects. So going back to the history of SIB, so I want to say it was like a year, well, probably around 2 years now almost, where SIB was given an original budget of $100,000. This was a project budget. Part of it was to fund Ethan's position. Ethan now has a full-time position funded by the city. So we do have about $40,000 remaining in funds for you guys. This was originally voted on a few months, well, no, I want to say it was probably almost a year now ago, when we were in the middle of a lot of grants and the board voted to hire a grant writer with some of the remaining funds. No movement was made on this. There wasn't a grant chosen. There wasn't like a grant writer. So the funding is still there for you guys to use. So we have a couple projects that we want to present to you guys of different ways to use this money. And then I will give you guys an opportunity to ask questions. But you do not have to vote on any of these items if you do not wish to. If you guys want to wait until next month and potentially bring up any ideas that you have, that is more than welcome. We just kind of thought it'd be best to use this money this year before we don't know what happens with it. So I prefer to try and allocate this
Yeah,
funding
don't take
sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Say this year, like towards fiscal year of July or
Well, so our fiscal year ends in December.
December?
Yeah. So we're hoping to get something sooner rather than later. So I just want to get the kind of you guys thinking about this. So we bought a few projects that we thought would be feasible. I do want to stress that since the administration of any of these projects or programs is going to be done by Ethan and myself, the projects we chose are hopefully not too administratively burdenous on us. So as if you are thinking about other projects, just kind of keep that in mind as well, because we don't have any extra staff. So it's just going to be us on top of our regular duties.
And eventually just me for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, and then when I'm so one of the first ones we're thinking about was food waste reduction. So we wanted to streamline food recovery efforts from grocery stores, restaurants, and schools to divert food to pantries, food banks, and similar facilities, promote composting on site. So we were talking with Sedgwick County, and so they had done some legwork on how to reduce food waste in schools. So they had a USDA grant, I believe they were looking at. Unfortunately, that grant was kind of pulled. So they had started doing some of the research for it, but never got to really even apply for the grant. So we were able to meet with them and take some of the research. And we wanted to focus in really on schools and helping them reduce, the schools at lunches and breakfast as well. So they had a really good idea to include so some schools have like a share table where if they don't eat something, they can kind of put it on that table. The issue with that is like if someone doesn't have their milk, the milk is only that good for a couple hours. So they thought it'd be a really good idea to put like small little glass fridges in all the cafeterias to help people be able to see it. There's less stigma than going up to the table. You kind of go into a fridge, maybe off to the side, and kind of take what you want or put in whatever you don't want. And it'd be good for students it would last to after school. So if anyone had an after school program, they got a little hungry, got to check out what was there. So that would help divert some of that food waste.
So you're wanting part of this funding to pay for those coolers?
Yes, yeah, basically. So I will say with some of these, the scope isn't fully fleshed out just because we didn't want to start contacting schools and start doing all that legwork and then be like, oh, actually, this isn't what SIB wanted to do.
Yeah.
So we took some of the research that Sedgwick County had done, and they thought this was one of the better ways to use the funding. We also thought about working with community gardens, schools with community gardens, so focusing a lot on schools and trying to put kind of that composting education already within, lesson plans and stuff within the teachers. And kind of give more education on the community gardens, give them a little bit more resources on composting. So some of that food waste could hopefully also be diverted to composting. But that was kind of one of the ideas we were wanting to do and really focus on schools. We were also looking into helping universities divert some of the food waste. That one's a little bit harder because it's hard to know what the universities are doing. But I do know that like Wichita State, when I was researching it, they do already have like a composting program on the back end. So they do compost some of their food and they do give away some of the food to a local food pantry, which now I can't remember. And Newman does have a community garden and they do compost as well. So just kind of looking into different avenues, and I think we want to try and focus on schools. There's a few schools that Sedgwick County had already contacted and they want a fridge. They said that's a great idea. That's a great way to use it. It's not a really big administrative burden for us to be able to do that and contact schools and try to get into them. So we thought that might be a good, easy way to spend some of the funding.
Yeah, and if it's free to schools,
Yes.
then it wouldn't be a big deal for them, just the little bit of
Exactly.
electricity.
Yes, and some of the issues that Sedgwick County came upon is like anything that would put a greater burden on like janitors and stuff to like watch the kids if you're going to have them directly, try and sort out food and stuff like that. So this was a good way to not put any extra burden on administrators or janitors or anything like that.
Just clean it out at the end of the week and start fresh on Monday, probably.
I have a different question. Like,
Yes.
we have for this year $40,000, right? We will get a new fund next year.
No. So this was a one-time allocation of $100,000 that has been partially used up over the past couple years.
So we have to be very careful for this money.
Yeah, so it is a one-time allowance and,
Shots, you know?
and with the way the budget is
Okay.
going, I don't anticipate there being another allocation.
No,
No.
and I anticipate them taking this if we don't use it.
I agree.
So another option we're looking at is doing seed rebates. So if anyone wanted to convert their lawn or landscaping to a more native and drought resistant plants that use less water, we would help them. We would work with the K-State, K-State
Extension.
Fenwick County
Yeah.
Extension Office. To maybe talk about what viable seeds we would want to be able to have approved for this rebate. But we anticipate maybe it being $150 per household. We're still looking at the cost of seeds, and obviously, if you're redoing, whole lawn, it might be a little bit more than that. But just looking at what kind of seeds and grasses we'd approve, and then also providing general resources on lawn care maintenance to reduce overwatering and over fertilizing habits. The way I feel it would go is be kind of a simple, just rebate receipt required to approve purchase. We'd maybe do 10,000 in rebates for 1 year or something like that, and that'd be about 65 to 100 people, depending on how much they want to get back in the rebate, and then allocate some towards educational program and workshops.
So you're thinking of like a list of certain
Of
plantings and things they
approved
could
like
do?
seeds where they can get wherever they want, but this the certain type of seed that we're approving, it does have to be a specific type.
So that may take some also negotiating with like Hillside Feed and Seed. Because I'm not sure that it details what sort of seed you're getting, you know?
Yeah.
That's a
So
good
on a
point.
seed, it may
Mhm.
not be.
Mhm.
So that might
I
be
see what you're
something
saying,
we'd have
yeah.
to reach out to
Yeah.
retailers
Mhm.
to try to make it specific and
I
not.
do know with when I did electric lawn care rebate program, so usually it had like a serial number or something, and I could just type that in and it'll pull up what it is exactly. So it might
Yeah, I
take.
don't know if that works with seed.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with seeds. I
Yeah.
don't buy seeds regularly, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't buy grass seed, I don't grow grass. But I mean, I bought the Flint Hills blend. They gave me a list of all the different things in it, but not on the receipt,
Yeah,
you know?
so
So-
that is a good point.
I do have a question that there's been people in the city who have planted flowers in their front yard and the city has made them mow it down. So is this gonna be a problem if it's out in the front yard, if they have a whole bunch of plants?
Was it like a visibility issue, or do you know the reason the city gave?
No, they mow it if it's more than 10 inches high.
Yeah.
The
it
city
was-
will cite you.
Yeah,
It was that.
yeah, like that.
Gotcha. I don't think we would be recommending anything that would grow that tall probably through this program, at least just to comply with that then. At least one thing I thought of is clover is an
Yeah.
option, and
Well, my clover is knee high. Oh,
Oh,
it is.
It is?
Yeah, it is. But it's beautiful.
I know
And
this,
nobody cares. My neighbors don't care, so nobody's gonna read
mine
my
don't either. As far as I know, I don't. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel like sometimes the rebate programs, I don't know if they're incentivizing behavior that people aren't doing already,
Yeah,
you know? I don't know.
I agree with that. I mean, we'd get, yeah, like 65 to 100 people out of a few 100,000. And are those really the people that would just already do it anyways?
What's going on?
Well, I think this seed rebate is kind of opening up to other people who might not. I see it as other people like. I do see it as new incentivizing.
I actually kind of agree with the first comment. And that's where my head went is would we be incentivizing people who might not be heavy users of water already? And so the thought maybe if this is the one we wanted, could there be an additional requirement that you have to have like a registered backflow so that we know that they're water irrigation users? Otherwise, if we incentivize somebody who wasn't watering their lawn already, that might not be the difference that we're trying to make.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because if they're in well water, they're not currently restricted at all. And so they could get the seed rebate and then continue watering 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So there just might have to be some more parameters around who would be eligible for this one.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys end up choosing any one of these projects, we are going to build out the scope further and have that approved by SIB as well. So it's not just like this is the end of the line, this is what it is. But yeah, these are all good points that we will take note of. Thank you guys.
And educational would be the initial part
Yes.
of this. And education might be enough.
Yeah, so I was like, I like the idea of the educational program.
Well, actually, that's gonna be one of our options later that I will get to in a second. You guys are getting ahead of me.
How many of these do you have? Just curious.
So there's 3. This is the last
Oh,
one.
okay.
And then we have one more that I would like to just recommend in general,
Okay.
whether or not it can be done in conjunction with these
Okay.
projects. So the last one is one that is my personal favorite. So air quality sensor. So as you guys know, I do do the Air Aware program. So I monitor air quality. So one of the ideas we had was to purchase air quality sensors to give away along with air quality informational material. So we target libraries, neighborhood resource centers, and outdoor recreational areas like playgrounds in schools. So these sensors, the ones I was looking at through a program called Purple Air, or a company called Purple Air, is about $200 to $300 a sensor. For about 80 to 125 sensors, that would be about 25,000, and maybe about 5,000 for educational materials. And the reason I was looking at Purple Air specifically is because even if you didn't get one of these sensors specifically, even if you didn't get one of these, so it's kind of like when you register it, whatever it's kind of outputting, it will actually show up on this map. So in the same way you can look at airnow.gov, you can actually look at who has one of these sensors, and you can look at what the real-time data it's putting out is. So one of the biggest things I kind of hear whenever I put out an air quality alert is, did you alert the schools? Do the playgrounds know? Do they know to keep kids inside? Kind of a thing. So I thought it'd be really nice to be able to work with the schools to have these on their playgrounds so teachers and students can actually look at it, see what color it is, see, hey, is it safe to be out here? Should I maybe stay inside? I have asthma, maybe it's better to stay inside. And we do get kind of those really bad days where it's just not healthy for anybody to be outside. So we thought it'd be a really great way to kind of drive education with allowing more of the data to be visible to people.
So are these sensors kind of connected in a centralized way? Like if you have like 20 sensors?
They're not connected nodes, so they're each individual sensors that all send the data to airnow.gov. Yeah. So I would like to know if this one, it is potential that it can be supplemented with the following years with some air quality funds. So it's something that can keep growing and expanding. And yeah, we can target kind of outdoor recreational areas. Like I said, playgrounds. We can focus on areas owned by the city or just areas where people are outside a lot as well.
Just curious, does the air quality change that much between like a mile or two, like that we'd want more?
Yes. So yeah, it can. I don't have any. Well, I guess I will say it can. I don't have any data within the city of Wichita, and so that's part of the issue is where our monitors are currently. So we have kind of one downtown in the downtown area. We have one really north of us, and we have one really south of us. So some of the issues that kind of come up is there are some areas of the city that have worse air quality, especially if they're in an industrialized zone. District 6 is one that I always point to, especially that 21st and Broadway area. So they do tend to have worse air quality, but we have no data to kind of show that or to be able to alert them directly about that.
And you can look at some of the other cities that have a few more sensors. Like we only have a couple on the outskirts of Wichita right now from this program, but you'll see that even sensors, within a mile radius, they'll have. I mean, I think I've seen like 20 to 40 in terms of number score. That same scale that we were talking about before is different. These look at just PM 2.5, so it's focusing more on that small particulate matter. So on days where maybe we're getting more smoke from the Flint Hills and burning there, you could see different parts of the city having different levels of air quality. But right now we don't even have that data as another part of this.
I do like this. I helped with an environmental garden with a school, and they had some weather sensors and such, and the classes took turns going in there and observing the weather and all that. So I know how to do that on a school basis. But the other thing is that our families had asthma, and I know how dangerous it is, and people don't realize how dangerous asthma is because they just think you just take an inhaler and everything's fine. And it's not fine.
And so, yeah, one of the big part is like that visibility of having that sensor, having it change colors, and just helping us with education. So I talk to people about air quality. Sometimes they're just not even aware of what it is or when it happens. So I think this will really help with that education piece.
I think that the most important thing you could do when it comes to that initiative is go into education and implement it as part of a curriculum.
Yes.
So if schools already have standing like environment, I'm taking environmental science next year in class. And if there's a way that we as like a board could connect with schools, it would improve visibility for this board and show the city of Wichita that it's important. And education is really like, it's one of the most important things we can do. I know that my school has, but I go to collegiate. There's a lot of schools in Wichita. I don't know if they do have programs that are standing, but there are a lot of clubs. Like especially East has like over 50 clubs for different things. If we could find a way to connect with clubs at different schools, that could be positive. And I don't think that for any of these we should spend the full budget on one or the other. I think there's a way that we could implement, do some of this, some of that.
Yeah. Yes, education is kind of one of the things that is going to go in all of these. And for this one specifically, I do have information through the EPA and stuff of how to like put this into the curriculum for different aged kids. I do want to focus specifically on elementary school kids just because they're the ones who get kind of recessed the most, but they do have it about, it talks about what the different colors mean of air quality and stuff like that. So it's able to break it down, not put too much of a burden on teachers either, because I know obviously they're overburdened, so we don't want to add too much, but maybe have a built kind of lesson plan if they'd like to include that whenever they are learning or looking at it. And obviously be able to teach them as well, like, maybe when it's a good day to have an indoor recess day if possible.
One of the things that Sierra Club has done this last year is partnered with, I think it's Colorado State, to put sensors out. And I don't know if they're Purple Air or some other sort because I'm not involved in that project. But Dr. Kent Rowe, who has been to our meetings before, he is very involved in that.
Okay.
And he's put one up at his place now, I think. I need to find out if that's the same thing or if it's a different kind. But they were monitoring mostly the Manhattan area.
Yeah.
So if this is in conjunction with, if it's the same system, that would be ideal because you could see the difference between up there and down here because they get it much worse up there than we do here.
Yeah. And one of the things like, if you guys were to choose this, the way the city works is we do have to put out a bid. So we would get kind of like different types of options. We can't just like unilaterally choose someone. But the reason I do like purple and I point out that one specifically is because it does have that information kind of on a map. So even if maybe you're next to school and you didn't get the air quality sensor, but the school has it, you can look at there what it is kind of real time, what it's putting out. So it helps everybody, even if you don't have that air sensor on your property.
So I imagine the sensor like at the health department is like an industrial, crazy
Yeah.
expensive thing that
Yeah.
like produces all the data we'd ever want to know. What does one of those cost?
I don't know. I actually need to ask KDHE. I think this question has come up before. But KDHE, you'd also have to include what it costs to like maintain and read that data and then do like kind of the quality assurance for that data as well. I'm not sure what those cost. They do give out 3 different types of air quality, though. They do give out ozone, PM 2.5 and PM 10, whereas these only give out PM 2.5.
I mean, like if we're a lack of data, it's like, is it a question of do we need more of one piece of data or do we need another high quality in like South Wichita? You know, I don't know, there's city, county buildings in South Wichita, it's like.
In conversations with them and like redoing the smoke map or the smoke smoke management plan, there have been calls for more air quality monitors, but they are expensive and KDG has to be the one to maintain them, so they don't have it currently in their budget because Manhattan specifically has been asking for one, because I don't think they have one in like Manhattan proper, and so they do want to get one. But KDG as of right now is not putting any new ones in.
No, I can imagine.
So this is kind of like our way of trying to, add to the information we have.
Yeah, and I think the number and visibility would be a benefit here. If you have them in a lot of locations, that makes it where you can look up and see that sensor and think about it. Not everybody's checking here now, like WIFA does, and not everybody's looking at the city social media for first in the morning or whenever the alert goes out to check. But if you have one at a building right by you and you look up and you can see what color it's showing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dylan, I think you had something to say too, but.
Well, I was just had a question on, I like the idea and like the concept, but would we need to think about, I was just looking at the sensors on the website and it says that it does require a power source and Wi-Fi. Would we need to think about any like infrastructure costs, like of being able to make sure a place that we would want it would have a proper power outlet or power source?
And also calibration, right?
So the
So sensor requires calibration over time. close
Maintenance,
quality and
yeah.
accuracy.
Yeah, so the power thing that is required is included in that 200 to 300, if I remember correctly. So I did include that as we would give that to them as well. And I think as we're looking at locations and maybe what schools we want to work with, we let them know of the requirements of like they do have to have Wi-Fi, which I think most schools and libraries and neighborhood resource centers do have that. That might be a hindrance if we're looking at, like parks that may not have like that Wi-Fi. That just might mean it might not be a good location for us to do.
Yeah, I was thinking about, parks with Wi-Fi, or even like at like a school, is there an exterior power outlet like in the location?
Yeah.
Then like costs that might be a lot more if we wanted to run power to locations.
The way I'm thinking about it is it kind of like if you have the infrastructure in place already, the only thing we really want to be spending money on with this program is for the sensor and that power.
Okay.
So unfortunately, if they don't have that and they're not wanting to put it in themselves, they just might not be a good candidate for the program.
Okay, so just find where the opportunity.
Yeah.
So first off, thank you so much for the hard work on all three options. They all span a wide gambit of options that certainly fit under the term sustainability. Of the options proposed, I personally lean more toward the seed rebate because it kind of specifically falls in line with the current priorities that we've set forth under our scope for this year. And so that's just my initial reaction to all this, but I also wonder if not on this list, but does Ibrahim's project need any additional dollars to be realized? And I really appreciate Ibrahim. I didn't get a chance to say it, but I really appreciate the hard work on the gray water reuse report. So thank you very much. I can't imagine how much work that took. And I just wonder if any of this money that we're looking at spending would be spent toward that, or how can we use the money to fit into the priority that we've set for this year?
Before you guys get started on this discussion, I do have one more slide, which
Okay.
is educational materials. So as I mentioned, we have those three options, but this one I would like to be included with whatever option you guys choose. So whether you come up with your own idea, just allowing us maybe a $10,000 budget to provide materials, resources, workshops, and potential incentives to encourage sustainable practices. So whether this be composting, more drought material, because Ethan actually did run out of the composting wheels and we don't currently have a budget to print more. So being able to have more of those materials to hand out at those like public events, and just the creation of new ones. If you guys have, things that you're like, hey, I haven't seen the city post anything about this. I haven't seen the city have a brochure about this. Is there something else we can come up with? I know you guys are really focused on education and outreach, and to be able to do that, we do need some of the materials. So I thought this would be a good one to just kind of, have regardless of which other one you guys chose. And then, yeah, so just to kind of recap, it would be probably around 30,000 for any project or program, and then 10,000 for educational materials. And if you guys would like to go with any of our options, great. We can work further on whichever you guys choose and really set that scope and have a proposal for you guys to approve, or approve with edits or not approve of. And then after that, we would have to get it approved by council. But otherwise, if you guys have anything else you'd like to bring or any other ideas, of ways to spend the money, that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
I will take one more point back before going to the projects. On January, as James mentioned, like our focus for this year is water, right? We agreed water is one of the main challenge for this city. And all what we're doing right now, we try to save water.
Water and waste reduction.
And waste production is correct. That's right. So I will revisit James' point again. Like I have one proposal now in the pipeline, should be with the city officials. I may have another one ready by next meeting about transparent solar panels for water evaporation. It looks like from the staff now, from Liz and Ethan, we don't have any money coming up. So this is the last money we have, is a $40,000, all what we mentioned today by Liz is very, very good projects. But I will not vote on this today, we need to sleep on that, maybe by next meeting. But everyone has to take time to realize the number, to realize our efforts. I'm not sure about the city will say oh, your proposal good, but we don't have money. You know, so if we have money, we can get a partnership with academic institutions. Sometimes we get money from Department of Energy, National Science Foundation, EBA, so we can leverage different resources and we can do pilot plant, you know. Having like 10,000, you know, for education materials, yes, I'm okay with that. But again, like I'm not going to vote this today, but let's sleep on that. Everyone, if has like pros and cons for everyone, share it next time and we can vote. But again, like waste reduction, water were our main objectives for this year. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I totally agree. I think that there's different ways that we could also come up with to spend this money, and I think that we don't have to go all in on one specific project. Like we've done initiatives on Mayor's Youth Council, and they might not be the most effective, but there have been some of them that have been really effective, and we don't spend that much on one project. We barely spend a few $1,000s. So I think that if we could find a variety of different ways that we could diversify the funds and put it into different projects and come up with things that don't take a lot of money, that do show our efforts to sustainability in Wichita, and wait till next meeting to vote on it, I think that could be really positive as well.
I agree. That's a good point.
And we do also need to remember the administrative burden on Lizette and Ethan, not to minimize that.
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
So
She is
Well,
a
but
comment.
I have to ask, what would our rules be? Because usually on the other boards, they put me to work. And so, sorry guys, but that's true. So I would think that we would also need to take a look on what ways that we could help carry this out and not overburden ourselves as well.
I was just thinking, when it comes to educational material, I do have a lot of great resources to get in contact with people that are like actual educators, to talk about like environmental things, and also things that are already in their curriculum that we could work in conjunction with. So if you guys want to put me to work, I'm here, especially on
Count me
education.
in, you know, outreach
Yeah.
is the key.
Mhm.
So that's why when we do, like when I propose the idea of pilot plan, this kind of public demonstration item, and when we get the community engaging with us, like students, public from our community, get in touch with us and also work with us to have wet hands on this public demonstration item. This is like very, very good example to reach out to the community. We can make like workshops and we can sponsor that, big events, we can show up. So we can do that. We can allocate some of this money for outreach. I totally agree. I have no problem with that. But does the rest of the money should go to a particular area? I know sensors, for example, they require maintenance. They requires calibration. It might be valid for 1 year. Next year, oh, I need this X gas to calibrate this. You know that gas from the industry, right? So we need this operating cost over time. I have no problem to have, as you mentioned, like fuel sensors with certain schools. We can do that. But again, like this is the only money we have for this year. So
Maybe ever.
yeah, so be careful. And if we go with a pilot plant, I'm not sure if the city would give us money. If we can secure it, I don't know. But I need to make something positive from this effort this year. So I will say, like, let's hold on that the next meeting. Let's sleep on it. We might need to get with different ideas. Yeah, go ahead.
So just a general question. So yeah, we want to spend this money this year, but in future years, like to get funds, then it would either need to be through like, could we get money through grants or private or like? There would be
Yeah, the
options.
board can apply for grants kind of like through the city. There's some specific language about how it works, but basically if you guys wanted to put together a grant application, we could then submit it as the city on your behalf, kind of.
Okay.
He works for a company that gives out grants.
saying he's got access. I mean, I do food tech.
Well, there we go.
I have no power though.
People, we don't write the checks.
We did the purple pipe spirit, you know?
Yeah, but you know,
Still
you,
talk about
We
that.
do still talk about the purple pipe. It still exists,
You can come to your company and talk about sustainability and
right? Yeah.
The only other way would be if you guys had like a proposal that you took to council and council approved funding for it. That would be kind of the only other way.
But that's not likely.
I will say it's a little harder right now in these budget times, but not impossible. If you guys would, if that's gonna be kind of the end of the discussion for that, I would like to open it for public comment. But I would like to say if you guys do go home, you kind of research, you come up with your own project idea before the next meeting, feel free to send it to me and I can send it out to the board, just so people can be taking a look at it. So the discussion flows a little bit easier and we don't have to spend too much time explaining different projects. So please just send those to me. I prefer a week before the next meeting would be perfect, so I can send them out with the agenda and the minutes from this meeting.
And you're gonna send us this so that we have.
The
a list
presentation
of
that,
the ones
yes, I can do
yeah,
that. Good
okay.
point. I will make note of that.
I personally know a check writer at Coke through like family friends. So I was just, and I know she's really into educational initiatives. And she's on the collegiate board, and she has a lot of very strong opinions about education. And I think she does manage some sort of fund for some sort of Coke Foundation deal. And I think that, I mean, I could help with that. I could try to help with that when it comes to
Very good. Yeah.
looking for places to ask for funds.
Very good.
That's a good note. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
If there's no other comment from the board, making sure no one online has anything before I open it up to public comment. All right. Okay, any public comment? All right. Okay. Moving on to the next item. So changes to SIB ordinance. So, I kind of already alluded to this issue. So the timing of term appointments. So as of right now, the board appointments expire on odd years instead of even years, as is the case for all other boards. So what ends up happening is the people from other boards expire the odd year instead of when the districts expire. So basically, this causes us to have turnover every year, regardless, because some people aren't eligible to be on those other boards anymore. They've termed out, or they choose not to be reappointed to those boards. So then they're no longer eligible to be on SIB. So it creates an issue where every year, whether it be the district seats and the board seats, and then the board seats potentially having to be reappointed as well the following year. So it creates the kind of turnover that was hoping to be avoided with the 2-year kind of term limit. So it goes against what the whole term limit or the whole term was meant to be. It creates issues with us having to have a new chair vote kind of every year because we get new people every year. And then with the amount of people, if we're getting new people, having to kind of, spend a whole meeting going through what was going on the previous year or two. So having to constantly, go back, or maybe people not know what was the intention of SIP, kind of those things. So it just creates some of those issues, and it creates a lot of administrative on myself to get everyone to, make sure they're reappointed, make sure they take their oath of office, make sure they even want to be reappointed, or having to reach out to those boards and then get someone else reappointed and reminding them to do so, because sometimes people forget. So that is kind of the issue. We're hoping to, well, I think it's on the next slide. So our staff recommendation is to change current term. So the current term we have just started in March or April to expire March 31st of 2026 to align with all the other board expirations and improve appointment process. So the only issue we see with this is term limits could be affected in 2028 with this term only being a year instead of the original 2 years. This is kind of our recommendation for now. We're hoping to work it out with city law to kind of write something up to hope to avoid that term issue. But this is kind of what we want to do, which would mean you guys would have to be reappointed next year for another term. But after that, we would be aligned with all the other boards. And that's kind of what we're hoping to do. Just because it creates issue every year.
Yeah, and it's also an issue for council members when we have new ones that get elected, then they have questions about why they aren't getting their appointee on this board yet. That did happen this time as well. We had some questions about that, so this would resolve that issue. Kind of, I think, just align it with every other city board in terms of which year terms expire. I think the county does odd years and the city does even years. It was supposed to make sense that way, but we ended up having odd years.
So who rewrites the bylaws? Do you guys?
Law department would.
So a law who would write it,
Okay.
and then basically we'd give them kind of, this is what we want to do.
Okay.
SIB voted, this is what they want to do, and then we send it to them. They kind of write it up so that in their lawyer speak and to make it official, but with this being the overall goal
Okay.
of it, and the exact terms of how that would happen. Once they write it up, you guys approve it, and then we send it to council for, it'll be consent item agenda, maybe, I can't
It'd
remember.
just be whenever they change
Yeah.
ordinances.
Okay.
And then after that, it would just mean if this is the one you guys choose to go with, that this term would only last a year, but you would still be eligible to be reappointed next year.
If you've served the entire time since the
Yes.
start of the board.
Yes.
One more item we need to add is the frequency of the meeting. We did discuss before if we need to have it every month or every other month. Should we discuss next time? You have
So I don't know what time it is. I don't know what you guys, if you want to vote on this, if you want to wait off on this. We do have 15 minutes about after this. If you want to
We
discuss
have
this.
the minimum number, right, to vote?
Yes,
on
you guys
this
do.
one.
Yeah, you met quorum.
So the people, our board members here and online, do you believe we need every month meet or?
Oh,
I will say,
Let's vote on this first.
I was gonna
Let's
say
do that
that.
first.
yeah, you have to vote on the ordinance first, because that's the
Oh,
topic.
On the change.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
changed, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't
So-
catch it.
I think what you need is a motion, and I'd make a motion to change the current terms to expire on the 26 year to align with other boards and improve the appointment process.
I do have a question though,
Yes.
because if everybody ends all at the same time,
Mhm.
then you could potentially have an entire new board that knows nothing
Yeah.
about anything we've done in the past.
That's, I think, the same though with a lot of boards, yeah.
Yeah, with any.
I know, but that's not ideal.
It's also not ideal to kind of have us, every year where people are gonna be leaving and stuff and having to get reappointments every year as opposed to every 2 years.
I know. I'm just thinking that's a lot to ask when it's all new people.
It's the trade-off.
So all the people that are on the SIB now
Mhm.
were not there originally,
Mhm.
but they've replaced someone who's left.
Mhm.
So, but their terms are not like mine. Next time will be my last time.
Mhm.
I will have served 7 years, not 8.
Yes,
So, but I mean, there were none of the rest of us haven't been on here that long,
yeah,
except for me.
yeah.
So, but then everybody's gonna be, so everybody won't be gone. Some people will still have more terms after that.
Yes.
Okay, or they can if they want to.
They can if they want to. And kind of the issue you brought up earlier, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I feel like that could happen at any time. At any point in time, everyone could just decide to leave and I can't do anything about it. I think it's just kind of an issue with boards at sometimes. And I mean, that's just kind of how terms tend to work with this one. I'm hoping to bring up that question to lawyers, so they do want you to be able to serve your 8 years if that's what you choose to do. And I don't want to cut you short because that's what's written in ordinance is
Mhm.
4 terms. And 4 full terms is what I anticipate they meant by that. So hopefully law can have some kind of, wording in there to allow for that. As of right now, I can't guarantee that. But that is kind of like the issue we saw with changing it to 2026 to align.
Right.
Either way, I think it'll end up happening to whether it's just one person or a few, it'll end up happening if we wait until next year and say, okay, we'll do this in 2028.
I second the motion.
Second, okay. Before you guys vote, I do have to open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment on the topic or the motion? Okay, awesome.
I'm going to approve it, yeah.
You have to call the vote,
Oh, for this and
just for the,
for this one?
yeah.
This one, yes.
Yeah, anyone has any problem with this approval or motion for this one?
Aye.
You need a
Just
motion?
confirm?
No problem.
Okay.
All those in favor?
All this in favor of approving this change, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone-
Thank
Thank you. Anyone against that? Okay, we are going to approve this change.
Okay, let's see if they take it at the council. Okay.
We
then we'll know
will
if it's
come
changed.
back with whatever lawyers recommend the verbiage, for you guys to approve that, and then we'll send that up to council.
Okay,
Don't know how long that will take though, so just heads up.
there was the last bullet point you had on the previous slide, it was like any other things, and it took me a while to like search for it, any other concerns or suggested changes. There is a it's not the case now, but so SIB bylaws say requirements, you have to be a citizen of the United States, and so that means anyone permanent resident can't be on the SIB. But I looked at the tab, the transit advisory bylaws, and we don't have that. So it's not, I don't know if it was just like included as boilerplate in the original ordinance when it was when it was passed. It's not a current issue that I know of, but like, I don't think I wanna like eliminate somebody's possibility of serving on a city board if they're like a permanent resident or like have a visa, you know? That's not fair. But
Yeah, there was a lot of negotiation putting this ordinance together. There was a lot.
it's gonna
And,
cause like a bunch of like bubble up stuff.
oh,
Maybe
yeah,
it's
it was
not
really
worth
something.
investigating, but
But yeah, but what, why? That's why I don't know why
yeah,
that's there
why?
either.
I mean,
Yeah,
words
that's
had
weird.
meaning, but why? Yeah,
Yeah.
it just hit me wrong when that was up there. 'Cause it felt odd.
Yeah.
To me.
Um,
Anyway,
Yeah, we can definitely take a look
Okay.
at that ordinance and see if it's a requirement of all boards, and if you guys want that to be removed, we can also look into that.
okay. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So, other than that, Ibrahim, did you want to talk about the?
Yeah, I was trying to revisit the frequency of the meetings we have. So right now we are meeting every month. So do you like to meet every quarter, every other month? Are we happy with the schedule? So this one I'm trying to share it with you guys.
I think we could probably meet every other month.
Yeah.
But I think we might have to start a little earlier. Because we tend to run out of time. And if we have more to talk about,
Okay.
The meetings would be longer.
I mean, maybe not much longer. Maybe like 5:45 instead of 6:15.
Hard to know. When we first started, we all agreed that we were not gonna be able to get anything done if we didn't meet every month. So that's how we started, because I was there. Because we knew that we had a quarterly mandate.
Mhm.
So, would we be able to meet every other month? And what are we doing between months as a board? If it's just giving us time off, is that all it is?
I think the only issues, and I just confronted this like recently, is we have a lot of like break periods between like two areas where we don't have meetings just because of like breaks and stuff like that. And I think that if we meet every other month, then that might be a little bit hard. I think that if we do it on a basis of we need to meet this month, and then keep this time open for meetings if they need to happen, then that could be positive going forward. Like if we decide next month, okay, no meeting next month. Why did we not meet like 2 months ago? I forgot.
Because of all the board appointments, we're
Okay.
still going through, so we wouldn't have met like, or I guess quorum would have been like 4 people.
Mhm.
So, making sure that we're trying to make sure everyone was gonna be appointed, so everyone, if we were gonna vote on something, the board, and still waiting on new members also to take their oath of office and everything, so just trying to make sure that, they were gonna have a SIB meeting that's gonna be productive where people can vote, the majority of the board would be there.
Yeah. I just think that personally, Mayor's Youth Council meets 2 times a month. And I think that that's really important. And I think meeting every now and then is important, especially for updates, because there's a lot of people that work on different boards and we can help each other out going forward with different ways that we can collaborate. So it's not just the things that we're working on together, it's also the things that we can help each other with. So.
I mean, I'm brand new, so I haven't had like a whole monthly commitment, but coming into it, I think just fresh eyes, I don't think a month is too much of a commitment, and especially with there being a virtual option, I think to me, monthly sounds like it makes sense
Okay.
to keep progress, as you're saying, especially since we might have a couple months at the end of the year where we don't have
Yeah.
meetings anyways.
Especially for November and December.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So Ben, do you have any comments on that?
I prefer monthly.
Monthly.
I will procrastinate until the end of, the 2 months. So I need that motivation.
Okay. You have any comments?
I think that we're probably gonna be shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't meet every month.
Okay.
We can see how this year lays out,
Sure, yeah.
but if we don't meet, probably nothing will happen while we're not meeting.
So for Jessica and James, you have any inputs on the frequency of the meetings?
I don't have a strong opinion either way on this one, Ibrahim.
Okay, thank you. Jessica? It looks like we are okay with the current schedule, so let's keep it. We meet every month. And also in the meantime, let's get some communications to change between emails and attachments. So we'll still have some traffic in the months. Okay.
Sorry, I was here. It just took me a minute to find the unmute button, but no, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So this item covered, and we are good with the current schedule. Any other comments from the board members or from the public comments before?
One thing that you all may not be aware of is that Evergy now wants to put in 2 new gas plants.
Where?
Did they
Gas
approve it?
methane plants. They have not, it's not been through the
Oh,
final
okay.
approval with the Kansas Corporation Commission yet. But they are that's rapidly approaching.
I was
they're-
just going to talk about that.
Okay,
Lori.
they're having 2 hearings only. One of them will be in Wichita. And it's in the month of June, so it's gonna be here pretty quickly. And we have each plant, they say, will cost $1 billion. But at a meeting that someone I know was at, they spilled the beans that it was really 2 million apiece.
I've
Or
heard that.
billion.
I've
billion.
heard that as well.
4 billion altogether, and who pays for it? We do.
The really thing that
We
really
do.
upsets me about that is that we can vote it and agree to it, and they never even have to put that plant in going. We will still pay for it whether it goes or not. So if something happens in the middle, we still pay for it.
And they will start charging us immediately. Before they start the build, we're paying for the build too.
And we pay for the overages.
We pay for the whole thing.
Everything.
It's gonna raise our rates quite a bit.
Before we, sorry, but I don't mean to interrupt. I just really do quickly want to make sure no one has any public comment, because we are about to run out of time. Okay, just want to make sure I got through that part. Okay, you guys can continue.
Okay, well, and I've got info. I can send it out to everybody individually if you want. But the Sierra Club's just put together a brochure because we're working on this. So I will send that out to everybody so you guys can review it and see when the dates are coming and what we can do about it. Because it's a for-profit company.
The League of Women Voters are also working on it too.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you-
Evergy's for-profit.
If you have any information that you would like to send out to the board, feel free to send it to me and I can send it out.
Okay.
One thing, quick, wichita.budgetsimulator.com. The survey is open, fill it out, let your city council know and the budget office know what your priorities are for the city budget.
Okay, thank you.
That's not easy to do either.
Yeah, you
It
can't put the sliders all the way to one
really-
side.
It's really
Yeah,
hard.
it's really hard to
Yeah,
balance the budget.
it
It's gonna be
is.
some tough decisions.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So last little bit, our next meeting is Wednesday, June 25th at 6:15, either here or on Zoom as well. It's the same link. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything about that, feel free to send me an email. If you're not gonna be able to attend,
Please, the library will close in 15 minutes.
So close.
If you have books or other items to check out, staff are available near the self-check stations to assist. Please save all documents and complete all printing at this time. Thank you for visiting the Wichita Public Library.
So I'm going to adjourn the meeting and thanks for coming, guys.
Adios. Okay.
Is it too early to get involved with these women voters if I can't vote yet? Okay. Can I give you my emails?
I have one.
Oh, you do? Okay. I don't know how to get involved with that, but going forward, I'd love to.
Well, you know, one of the things that we do each month is go